What is up, everybody? I am Mason from the Mockbuster YouTube channel, and if you haven't seen my last video, click the link right over there. I reviewed the first out of the 4 movies from the Mad Max Anthology, the new 4K set for all of the Mad Max movies, and I really liked that transfer. The first Mad Max trilogy, 1979, great transfer. If you want to hear my full in-depth thoughts on it, just click the link over there. But now we're going to be talking about the Road Warrior. Now this is a special one because this is one of the first standard Blu-rays I buy. I have the Road Warrior right here, and this is an okay transfer, so I wanted to check and compare it. Is it worth the extra, how much ever it is, $32, but if you want to get the whole set, it's like $80 compared to a $5 Blu-ray that you can get anywhere, like at a flea market. I got this at a flea market. Now, is it worth it? Let's get into it. So, Mad Max, 1981. Mel Gibson's back in the kind of the role that, started his whole career. 22 years old, fresh out of acting school, and now he's back for the sequel, and the sequel is what blew him out of the atmosphere. This is what really gave him more naivety, more strength in Hollywood, or I guess in Hollywood, I don't know, the Australian, but I think he got awards for this, I'm not sure, but this is a great sequel, not as good as the first. Some people like this more. I prefer the first movie just for its stylistic choices and for its storytelling. But this one, again, is also a good movie. The first Mad Max I watched was Fury Road, and that was, you can tell a lot of inspiration from Road Warrior is in Mad Max Fury Road. So I'm not going to review the movie. I'm here to review the actual Blu-ray, the 4K Blu-ray. And what are my thoughts? So first off, we'll talk about the actual visual quality, the actual image quality. The word of the day is inconsistent. So I'm going to start off by saying that when it's sharp, it's really sharp. You can really tell when that 4K transfer hits. It slaps you in the face. It's so sharp, and those close-ups looks really good. Close-ups look really amazing. You can see every little minute detail. As I said in the first transfer, in the first Mad Max transfer, beads of sweat, dirt, dust, hair follicles. But for this one, it's mostly sand, because it's in a desert area, so you can see sand on people's teeth, in people's hair, on their jacket, on their skin, on their face, and it looks absolutely beautiful. It's so fine, and it's so in-depth, and it's so detailed that you can see the individual granules of sand on people's jackets and on the floor and on people's boots. It looks absolutely fucking amazing. It looks great. And going back to close-ups, again, you get Mel Gibson's beautiful blue eyes, but for Humongous, is that name Humongous? Spare the fuel, that will save your lives. Wait, no, give me the fuel and I will spare your lives. I don't know, anything like that. But when they close up on his mask and you see those checkered Checkmex type little things, you can see the individual cross sections and the individual holes. So there is a lot of detail when it comes to this transfer. And now the best part about this transfer is that everything bad about the first Mad Max when it came to the grain structure is completely fixed. If you went to my first review, I said that when shots of the sky were very vibrant and blue, but it also had really bad grain. Although it was a softer grain structure, the grain was really bad in the first movie, and here it's so unnoticeable that you couldn't tell. So yeah, the grain structure in the Road Warrior is absolutely beautiful. If you're a grain hater, you're not even going to notice it for the most part. And going back to the 4K transfer, it does justice to the film. Now, although I prefer the first guerrilla style filmmaking techniques of the first movie, the second movie is still really good, and the transfers, especially when it comes to the practical effects, everything from the explosions to the gore to the stunts look absolutely amazing, and it looks less floppy. I remember watching it on VHS, I think, and all of the special effects and all the stunts look really bad, but here it shines, and it does such a service to to George Miller's direction and the cinematographer. It looks absolutely beautiful. But again, as I stated in the beginning, the word of the day when it comes to this transfer is inconsistent, and that's not bad on the transfer. It's more based on the actual source material. You will get a super, because this really took me out of the film, the whole experience. Would that be that it would be super, super deep, detailed shots, and then the shot after that will be this dirty, muddy, grainy, shitty, like pixelated, grain garbage shot, super soft shot, and it like take me like, whoa, what the hell? Why is it look so bad? And then it'll cut to like a really clean, grain-free, not grain-free, but like a softer grain and super sharp. But then it'll cut to like another scene, because like this was noticeable in the first Mad Max, but there was only about 3, 4, 5 shots in the first Mad Max. But in the Road Warrior, I don't know, maybe because they got a bigger budget, they didn't really care as much, but there was like maybe 20, 25 shots where, okay, that's maybe an exaggeration, but 15 to 20 shots where it was super soft, super grain heavy, super low quality film that I was actually surprised. It really took me away from the actual transfer, and it kind of disappointed me. I'm like, dude, what the hell? This is supposed to be the new transfer, and it kind of looks really bad. But then in my first review, I said that the worst of the worst doesn't take away from the best of the best. In this one, it kind of takes away, because it takes me out when you have a really well done shot with really good grain structure. It doesn't get in the way. It's super sharp. And then you cut to another scene and it's super soft, super grain heavy, and it just really took me out of the film. So that's one of my biggest complaints when it comes to this transfer. And I don't know if it's the transfer, because in the standard Blu-ray, there are scenes like that. Well, you blame it most on the source material. I guess you can't really do anything when it comes to those things. But I mean, it just took me out of that film. So if I had to rate the image quality for the Road Warriors image quality, which I already said, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. Mainly because when it's sharp, it looks really good. But when it's bad, it's really bad. It doesn't, like the first Mad Max, I give it a 9 out of 10. That's how good it was. But here it's a 7.5. So next, that was just the initial impressions on image quality. Now I'm going to go deeper and talk about the HDR. And the HDR is pretty good on this transfer. You can't really go wrong with modern day HDR additives and all because it comes with Dolby Vision and all that stuff. So it gives it that extra boost. But I don't know. The first Mad Max had a lot of scenes where there was varieties of different colors, where everything pops with like the blue and the red. If the first Mad Max was known for its reds, this Mad Max is known for its blues, because the sky, oh boy, the sky looks absolutely so beautiful. The vibrant, rich blue looks absolutely amazing. And with its new softer graining, like with the new softer grain, it looks a lot better and it looks a lot cooler, because there's a lot of shots where it's Max's face or someone's face, and then just this whole pitch of just blue, this deep sea blue, and it looks amazing. Now again, as I stated with Mad Max, there is explosions, and the explosions looks absolutely beautiful. So you're not gonna catch that lacking. There's more explosions in this movie than the first movie, so you're gonna get those deeper, rich orange, yellow, reds, and it happens quite often. So obviously, it's better than the original. Now, again, as I stated, the Road Warrior kind of lacks when it comes to the whole gamut of color. You're mainly gonna get a lot of blue, some reds, but it's mostly browns and other tints of yellows and browns, as expected to come with a Mad Max. But the first one really blew me out of the water. It blew me away with its variety of color. This one is okay, but where it's really cool is with the Marauders or the Scavengers, the bad guys, the bad guy gang. I don't know. There's always a bad guy gang in Mad Max, but they always have different colors of hair. They dye their hair. And everyone's hair color is so amazing, and it stands out comparing to the contrast with the dull oranges and grays, and because a lot of the time there's like not a sandstorm, but there's always a sheen of sand throughout the film. So when you see people's hair and it's like blue, orange, purple, bleach blonde, and it's absolutely amazing. Now there's this one scene where Mad Max first enters the compound, and there's this one guy. He doesn't have blue hair, but it's black with a tint of blue. Like he did one, not he like I used to have blue hair, and I didn't bleach my hair, but when you put it in the light, it'd have a tint of blue. And it looked amazing, because I feel like when I looked at the Blu-ray, you couldn't even see it. But with this HDR, you can see the hints of blue when the light hits it, and it looks absolutely amazing. It looks so beautiful. Now, next is the inky blacks. The blacks are so good. Inky blacks, like the first movie, I mean, you can't really go wrong with modern day HDR. And, you're not losing any detail. As I said, there's a lot of other transfers where you lose a lot of detail because they try to overcompensate with HDR. But for this movie, that's not the case. But again, most of the movie takes place during the day, so you're really not going to notice that much black levels, mostly when there is someone's black hair or the Mad Max's jacket, but again, that's also covered in sand for most of the time. So when it comes to black levels, this isn't gonna blow you away, but when it's there, it looks great. But there's not much black levels to talk about. Now, again, with HDR, I've been speaking a lot about HDR because HDR is one of the biggest selling points for a 4K, besides a sharper detail. The skin color, the skin tones, the different whites and reds and all that stuff look absolutely amazing, especially on Humongous. If you look at Humongous, he has these blotches of red in his skin, and it really shows out. So that was really cool. Skin tones look really good when it comes to HDR. Now, next is the audio. The audio this movie does come with a Dolby Atmos track. Dolby Audio 7.1, DTS HD 7.1 audio track, and it's great. It's better than the standard Blu-ray, but again, I don't know, something about it didn't really blow my mind the way the first movie did. The first movie was absolutely amazing because there was all these close-up shots of motorcycles and cars speeding through and really giving that surround sound feel. And I don't know, maybe because I feel like the first one really blew me away because of how good it is. But this one, I didn't really notice it. The surround sound, the 7.1 track didn't really feel as good, but again, comparing it to the standard Blu-ray, the 5.1 track, it blows it out of the water. But it wasn't the best. It didn't really show its capabilities when it came to that track. I don't know, maybe it's still a great track. It's just not as good as the first Mad Max. But that being said, there is bassy booms. You're going to get a lot of audio detail, like when people are talking, chattering. For some reason, the first Mad Max had this modern feel when it came to the sound. This Mad Max, it sounds like a movie made in the 80s when it comes to, when you watch an old, I said this in the first review, but when you watch an old film and it has that hissy undertones when people are talking, that's very prevalent in this transfer of Mad Max in the audio track, because it comes with both the original cinema theater audio track as well as a remastered 7.1 with all the Dolby Atmos, but it doesn't really work that well as compared to a lot of other old school tracks. But again, it is an older track, but I've heard better. It's still great though. But again, the detail and the depth of the audio is still there. You're still going to hear the little snake when he hisses, the dogs barking. What I really liked is when people were running across the sand and you hear that punchy, grainy satisfaction of when something is hitting on the sand on the ground, as compared to when Max, he runs on the sand and then he starts running up the steps and you can hear the differences. That always blows me away. As an audiophile and as a videophile myself, as a cinephile, I love those little steps. Like when I'm playing a video game and I hear that stuff, it's absolutely beautiful. So now I've talked about the movie. What would I give this transfer? I would give this transfer a 7 out of 10. If you like Mad Max and you are a big fan, this is leagues above the standard Blu-ray. So I'm actually going to get into that. And when it comes to the standard Blu-ray, it blows it out of the water, because the standard Blu-ray is not nearly as sharp. Now, to be fair, this is a what is it, 2007? A 2007 transfer. This is when Blu-rays were starting to pick up. This is when it was brand new, so it's not nearly as sharp, and it's a decent transfer for what it is, but there is a lot of film imperfections. Like if you've ever seen an early Blu-ray, sometimes when it comes to film transfers from film to HD, you'll sometimes find film imperfections. Now, some people might like it, but this is completely clean. Like, this feels like you're watching it day one in the movie theater. This one feels like you're watching an old VHS rip, and you can see all like the scragglies and the degrading of the film. So that really took me out. And the grain, oh my god. Now, I thought this was a bit grainy before it being an old film, but this, oh my god, it was so grainy. It was grain city. Holy, like every shot was full of just grain. So if you're a grain hater, you definitely need to upgrade, and not, it's $5, you can get it, but if you want to spend the extra money and get good cinematics, good practical effects, I highly recommend you upgrading to the 4K. And with the added HDR and without the HDR, this just looks very pitiful. Like, it feels like a dud. Like, the HDR, there's no HDR on this, so all the colors, with it being, I told you, as it has a very limited color gamut with mostly blues and different varieties of browns and yellows. But without the HDR, the blues aren't as punchy enough to contrast with the dull browns. So the dull browns on this look really bad, and in the sky, sometimes it looks light blue, but it's also sometimes it looks gray, and it's really bad. So the HDR is what saves this transfer and is what's 100% better than this. And then I thought, this was an okay transfer, but comparing it to the original 5.1 transfer, it was just muddy and nasty, and it just made my hair tingle. For this is being a 1080p transfer, 1080p to 4K. Some people are like, it's only not that much. It's not that much. You need a good, like a huge TV or a huge projection system to actually notice a difference. No. Okay, now if there's a 4K transfer of a certain thing, because this hasn't been transferred that many times. I believe maybe 2 times the Road Warrior has been transferred, but this is this is like the copy that most people have, and this is really bad. This transfer is really bad, and this blows it out of the water. And when I said that there's a few scenes where it lacks, it looks absolutely hideous and disgusting on this one. Now imagine this with a brand new 4K transfer, comparing this to the original transfer with an full HD uptick. It looked so bad. So again, throw this in the trash and pick this up, because this is the ultimate for Mad Max fans, for action fans, for Mel Gibson fans, whatever. If you're an action fan, I highly suggest this. I haven't seen The Road Warrior in maybe 10 years, and this was a great reminder, and it looked absolutely beautiful. So what would I give Mad Max Fury Road? Honestly, I'm trying to compare it by itself. I'm trying to review it by itself for the final verdict, but when it comes in a set, you have to compare it to the first movie, and the first movie was a 9, almost nearly a 10 out of 10. This one, I would say a 7 out of 10. Now again, HDR is great, black levels are great, audio is pretty good, but when you're comparing it to the first movie, you'd think with a bigger budget, with better film, it'd be 100, maybe 50, 100 times better, but it's not. It's kind of like 10% below. Now, again, what it does better than the original Mad Max is the better grain structure, barely noticeable grain structure when it comes to the sky, but again, HDR is great, but again, the color range in this movie is not that wide as compared to the first Mad Max. Audio is great, but it fails to compare to the first movie, and there's a lot of really bad shots. Now, that's not faulting the actual transfer, it's faulting more of the source material, but when it's still in the movie, it's really noticeable. The shots are really some of the shots are really noticeably bad. So I would say it's worth worth it as a pickup when it comes to the anthology, but would I get it separately for 35 bucks? Maybe not, but I'm glad I got the whole trilogy or the whole quadrilogy for, 80 bucks. So I'm saving a lot of money when it comes to that standpoint. But I mean, if you're a huge Mad Max fan, and if you have the standard Blu-ray right here, and if you have the standard Blu-ray, it's definitely worth the pickup. But if you're not a huge fan of it and you're not really noticing what it's going into it, I would say get the anthology. You're getting a slip case and everything, because I know a lot of people don't like getting all of it in one because they want individual, slip covers and all that stuff to display, which you have to be a big fan for that. But again, that's my review. Do you guys have the Road Warrior? Did you get the anthology? Did you get it separately, or the steelbook? Let me know down below, and please leave a like and subscribe for more reviews. Next time I'll be talking about Beyond the Thunderdome, and I can't wait to rewatch that, because I remember watching that when I was a kid and I liked it. So I can't imagine how I like it now, because it is a PG-13 film. So also to mention, there's a lot more a lot more gore in the Road Warrior than I remembered. So anyways, that has been it. 7 out of 10. What do you guys think? Let me know down below on this transfer. And please have a good day, night, evening, afternoon. Whenever you're watching this, please stay safe. God bless, and cheers, guys. Peace, love, and physical media. I don't know. Cheers, guys. See you later. Bye.